One of my favorite kinds of weather or favorite types of situations to take photos is anytime it's raining or maybe during a light rain or maybe after a heavy rain. It's just so nice. The lighting is good. There's this shiny texture on everything. It's just amazing. And there was one morning recently where I went out to the local botanic gardens just by myself, and it had been raining all night, and there was like a little break in the rain, and I thought I'm going to go and I'm going to take some pictures. I know there's good photo opportunities out there. And sure enough, there were. You're going to see a couple of them over the next few weeks here on Weekly 50. This is the first photo I took out of the Botanic Gardens. I had my Nikon D750 and my 105mm macro lens, like my favorite combination of gear for just general photo taking. Not people photo taking, but just out in nature. And I saw this. I don't know what kind of tree this is, but it was about 10 feet from the car. So I got out of my car and I literally walked about 10 feet and I saw this and I thought it's going to be a good day. And I like, it's hard not to get a good photo when you're at a place like that, at a botanic garden, in a situation like that, where it's either during or just after a rain. One of the tricky parts, though, about this photo, or any photo really, is getting those couple choices right that you kind of have to make no matter what photo you're taking. What do you want the subject to be? What else do you want to be in frame? What do you want the viewer to focus on? How much in focus do you want it to be? As well as just general exposure like aperture, shutter, ISO. Here, I really liked that water droplet at the bottom. And I thought that's kind of my main focal point for the photo because it's so bright and noticeable. The trick, though, was how to get it so that it is bright and noticeable to the viewer. Depending on the way I position myself, it was either against the green background like it is here or a white background, the sky. And we're talking a matter of inches. So if I just moved my point of view a couple inches up or down, it changed everything about the photo. And I ended up with this composition that you see here. And then the tricky part was how to focus this thing. I've learned this with water droplets over the years. Focusing with a water drop is not as easy as it might seem, especially with a macro lens, because the drop itself is different than the reflection in the drop. It's two separate planes. And I've learned that I really like when whatever is being reflected in the water drop is in focus. If there's nothing being reflected, it's really hard to get the drop in focus because it's just like this amorphous blob without a clear surface or any texture to it. But the autofocus on my camera doesn't always work the best for shots like this, especially at this particular photo on my D750, it's kind of outside the range of autofocus. On a modern mirrorless camera, you can pretty much focus anywhere you want to in any part of the frame. But on a D750, you can't. You're kind of limited to a diamond in the more or less the center of the frame, which is fine. I don't care. Doesn't really bother me too much. So because I use back button autofocus, this was piece of cake. I just slowly focused with my left hand while I took pictures with my right hand. And I moved the focusing ring on the lens until that reflection in the water drop was in focus. And there were several where it wasn't and some where it was. And it worked out great. If you go to Flickr and you zoom in, you're going to see this whole other tree in that water drop that's part of the photo that you don't really notice at first, but it's there. It's just being reflected. I really like the shiny texture on these buds. I like the rim lighting at the top of the bottom one and even the top one as well. There's just so much tiny subtle detail in this photo that I'm so happy with. And it's the kind of thing that you really can't get any other time except after or during a rain. It was a ton of fun to shoot this. If you care about the exposure settings, this is f13. 180th of a second, ISO 6400. And I used the Lightroom AI noise reduction to get rid of a lot of the noise in the background of this photo. And that tool works really well. So anyway, this is the first of a couple photos you'll be seeing from this excursion at the Botanic Gardens after a rain.